Good evening, everyone. You're watching LiveLaw, and I'm Debojit Das here with your weekly roundup of the biggest legal developments coming straight from the Supreme Court of India. This week, we've got a full docket for you. Rulings that touch everything from freedom of expression, judicial transparency, book bans, and even the testimony rights of police officers. The biggest headline this week, however, is taken by the Supreme Court's Collegium system, which is once again under scrutiny. As you may know, the Collegium, which is made up of the 5 senior-most judges of the Supreme Court, recommends appointments to the higher judiciary. But its most recent move has raised quite a lot of eyebrows. 2 names were considered. Justice Vipul Pancholi, ranked 57th in the All India seniority list, but then serving as the Chief Justice of the Patna High Court, and Justice Alok Aradhe, then Chief Justice of the Bombay High Court. The twist here being that Justice B.V. Nagaratna, who is the only woman in the Collegium and the only woman in the 34 judges strong Supreme Court, dissented. Reports suggest her dissent focused on the glaring gender imbalance in the higher judiciary. She even requested that her dissent be made public, something that's rare in Collegium decisions. What's more is that recommendations were accepted by the government within a matter of days, a pace that can be only described as lightning fast. So why does this matter? It matters because Justice Pancholi is in line to become the Chief Justice of India for about a year and a half. Critics, including senior advocates and former judges, have voiced concern over both the lack of transparency and the hurried nature of the process. From one controversial piece of news to another, the Jammu and Kashmir government has banned 25 books in one sweeping order. Among them, notable academic works like Sumantra Bose's Contested Lands and A.G. Nurani's The Kashmir Dispute are one among many. The books are alleged to contain secessionist content and be a threat to national sovereignty. The matter came up before the Supreme Court on 28 August, but the court directed the petitioners to approach the High Court first. Even so, the broader debate around freedom of expression, academic freedom, and arbitrary censorship continues. Moving on to some more encouraging news as we look into a crucial judgment delivered on August 20th. The Supreme Court has made it clear: attending a meeting with an organization that is not banned under the law does not make you a criminal under the UAPA or Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. This case involved an individual who had attended meetings held by a group called Al Hind, which is not on the list of any banned organizations. The court stated, simply being present at a meeting is not enough to attract charges under such a stringent law. A big win for civil liberties and a reminder that mere association is not guilt. In another headline-grabbing development, the Supreme Court has ordered a special investigation team to probe the acquisition of animals by the Vantara Wildlife Centre, which is run by the very well-known Reliance Foundation. The court voiced serious concerns over procedural lapses in how certain animals were obtained. The SIT will be headed by retired Justice Chalameshwar, and the case is being closely watched, especially because it involves one of the country's most powerful families. The focus here is on ensuring that even well-intentioned private initiatives in conservation operate within the bounds of law. Landowners were given respite, on the other hand, when on August 22nd, the Supreme Court reinforced the rights of landowners under the Maharashtra Slum Areas Act. In redevelopment projects, the court said that if the landowner is willing and able to carry out the work, the state must defer to that choice. The Slum Rehabilitation Authority must issue advance notice to landowners before taking over such projects. The court made it clear: compulsory acquisition is an extraordinary power and it cannot be used mechanically. This ruling could have wider implications on urban housing and redevelopment policies across India. In other news, on August 19th, the court clarified the limits of jurisdiction for the National Green Tribunal, otherwise known as the NGT. The NGT had attempted to direct an investigation under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, which, safe to say, is unrelated to environmental issues. And the Supreme Court said that's a clear overreach. Financial crimes are outside the NGT's mandate, which is strictly focused on environmental issues. A key takeaway here being, specialized tribunals must stay within their lanes. In similar vein, the Income Tax Department was under fire on August 24th when the Supreme Court pulled up the Income Tax Department for launching a prosecution before getting a decision from the Income Tax Appellate Tribunal. The court imposed a 2 lakh rupee cost on the department, stressing that due process matters, especially when people's reputations and liberties are at stake. In a time when tax scrutiny is increasing, this is a strong reminder that haste cannot replace procedure. In another interesting turn of events, on August 30th, the Supreme Court issued a notice on Dr. Subramaniam Swamy's long-standing plea to declare Ram Setu, which is also known as the Adams Bridge, a national monument. Swamy has argued the bridge, believed by many to have religious and cultural significance, needs preservation. The court will now hear the matter and ascertain what the union's response will be. And finally, a procedural issue with big implications. The Supreme Court Advocates on Record Association has raised objections to a Delhi government notification that came out on August 13th that allows officers to testify from police stations via video conference. The concern here, while courts are open public spaces, police stations on the other hand are executive environments, closed off and inherently restrictive in its access. Even if the testimony is electronic, the setting itself can raise doubts about fairness, potential coercion, or manipulation. The association has called for the withdrawal of the notification, saying that it undermines the spirit of open justice. And that's a wrap on this week's Supreme Court updates. We'll be keeping a close eye on all these developments and more in the coming days. I'm Debojit Das, and you have been watching LiveLaw. Thanks for joining us. See you next week with more insights from India's top court.